1959, I packed that job in. I went in the factory then.
Which factory was that? The car factory?
Car factory.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was that press steel then?
No, but the press steel was there then, but I was
Cowley.
in Morris's.
You were in, right.
Yeah.
Still in Oxford.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
about that, because I'm going to interview Doug Forshoe,
Oh, yeah.
because he's still there, you know.
Yeah.
But they got
Yeah.
shut out and then invited back on. And he said at that time, well, there were two stories he had. He talked about George Bishop. Do you remember George Bishop?
I know George Bishop.
And that was Doug's, that.
That man was permanently drunk.
But not only that, he said George used to say he got a bed at the factory. So, you know, he's one of those that really gave the work a bad name. He went,
George, I'm afraid, he got involved with one of the foremen there, and they used to go out drinking.
oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, what was going on there.
Yes.
Yeah. But I can tell you a little story about George. He's supposed to have been in the spray shop, where you spray the cars as they come up the line.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to, when you're on the job, is on the bonnet of the car, and the bonnet is up, and there's a card there, see, and it tells you the colour of the car and what it's got to be. And there's one bloke one side of the car spraying it one colour, and George the other side spraying it another colour.
That would be worth a bomb. That is so lovely.
Yeah, that happened up there with George, I'll tell you. Yeah.
I would love to have seen
But
the finished result.
I'll tell you what, I upset George one day. To be quite honest, it was unintentionally, see, because he was always drinking.
Yeah, I know.
And we got shut out from work, and we were coming home, see, and we got into Whitney, and he said, I'm going to drop off, he said, in Whitney. He said, I'm going for a pint. But he said, if you see the missus, don't say anything to her about it. I said, well, anyway, George, I said, if you're going to drop off in Whitney and have a pint, I said, when you get home, your wife will know you've had a drink. Of course she won't, he said. I said, I'm telling you, George, if she doesn't drink, or a non-smoker, you can detect a person straight away when you meet them, can't you? You only got to get by them, you know they've been drinking, or you know they've been smoking. And he wouldn't have it, you know. And then, anyway, I can't think what happened. We nearly had a accident one day in Welsh Way, see. I said, Cole, that was a relief, George. I said, because we'd have hit him. I said, you'd have drowned us all. And it was just an ad lib on the time, you know. You know, I said, you'd have drowned us all. He didn't like that at all. I shouldn't have said it, really, but it was. But when you're among people, people you know and your friends, you just ad lib, don't you? You just don't take anything.
But Doug said about his birthday, he said he really loved it. He really, he felt as if the works cared for him and cared about his work. And he always went the extra mile, and he cleaned up the yard and everything. Now it's changed. He doesn't care. Because they locked out, they got them back without contract.
Yeah.
And it's completely different now.
Now,
I don't know what you felt about it. What did you feel about
Now, I'll
working?
tell you something. It was all very well. We got a bloke called, can't think what his name was. He come from South Africa. He was going to sort the firm out and do this and do that and all thing. And when he come there, he was an absolute mess. And they brought in what you called measured day work. They brought this in so that there was 3 different wages, see. One wage, if you've done a certain amount of minutes, you got a certain wage. If you've done a bit more, you got another. And if you've done the top rate, you got the... And that they brought it in, £44 was the week's wage. The top one, that was. Well, when they first brought it in, you see, they didn't set everybody 44 minutes, if you know, to get the £44 there. They brought it in, and then, of course, they left it running for so long. And then they tried to implement it. Of course, strikes and all sorts went on up there with the union blokes and everything. And the point was, when they brought it in like that, the boys found out that they could do, now just for argument's sake, you were my mate, you were doing the front door of the car, and I was doing the front, you doing the rear and that, and we was working on the car. We found out that you could do your work and you could do your mate's work as well. So off he went for half an hour, and you carried on the 2 jobs, come back, and you went off for half an hour. See what I mean? And it was absolute chaos, really. The whole firm brought it on themselves, really, that it went, and that's what was happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the union blokes?
Well, I never have been a union man.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'll be honest. I believe the union is a good thing if it's run right.
Yes.
But up there it wasn't run right.
Well, tell me about them. What was wrong about the way they're doing?
Well, in days gone by, when the union was started, the union was what the men wanted, wasn't it? But in the end, it got like that. You got a certain figurehead. Oh, we want this, we want that, we want the other. Half the time, it was a load of nonsense.
It wasn't what the men wanted. You mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we got a bloke up there. He was a foreigner, and he was the top one. See, and then when as I told you about these 3 different times that you got the top way, when they decided that they was going to sort it out. He got up there and he had a meeting out in the yard, we did, and he said he used to always work. He never called it work, it was always work. He said the management wanted you to do more work, he said, but I'm telling you, you flat out now. Of course, we were all sniggering, weren't we? I mean, it was stupid what went on.
Tommy, was that where the person known as Red Ken was, or was that a different work?
The Red Ken was up the Midlands.
Right.
Yeah.
He was up there, was he? I mean,
Coventry.
Yeah, I can.
We had one up there called the Mole.
The Mole.
Yeah, the Mole. Now.
As a union, he was a union man.
Yeah. I can't think of his name now, no more than the Man in the Moon, because that's so long back now. But anyway, it just shows you what a small world it was, because I got friendly. I don't know whether you know her. Do you know Mrs. Williams?
Which one?
She lives just by the kitchen stall, it used to be, as we call it. Where Stevens had his place built. She lived in that last house, opposite Bampton House. You know, where Molly Rose is. The end house.
Yes.
And her husband was one of the tutors up at the college in Oxford.
Right.
And I got very friendly along with him, because he used to come down the river. I look after a piece of river down there, see? Yeah. And he used to come down the river with his dog for a walk, and I got to know him really well, see? And I was on about where I was walking, where I was working and that, and he come out, you know, he said, oh, you said you was at the factory. I said, yeah, I said. And then he told me about the one they called the Mole. He said, well, he got you blokes out, he said, on strike and that. He said he was down in Wales, he said, doing talks here and there and all different things. He said he wasn't losing any money, he was getting his money. Yeah, so it just showed you what was going on with the union, doesn't it?